everybody. I am so excited to be here and to be live tonight. It has been a hot minute since I have been live, and it is just so exciting to be here. I've got an amazing guest tonight. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Lucas, yes, I am live, and I'm excited. Thanks for showing up. And Cindy, so excited to see your smiling, joyful face as well. If you are here watching, whether on LinkedIn or on Facebook, because I know I've got it linked to my Facebook, and I know my guest has it linked to her Facebook, please drop a comment so we know you're here. We can interact with you. So my guest tonight, she is the fabulous Amie Haar. You probably heard me talk about her on my video I posted last week. And I'm just so excited for her to spend some time with you guys tonight. And with that, I'm just going to bring her out. There she is.
Hello, how are you?
I am great, and how are you?
Doing well. So excited to be here and to see your face and just experience LinkedIn Live for the first time ever.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be your first LinkedIn Live. That is so exciting. Oh, look, it's our friend Lorinda.
Hey, Lorinda, she is. I see Cinda's on here. So many great people. Wonderful.
Yes, and Jamal is here. Jamal is one of my LinkedIn friends. So thank you for being here, Jamal. If you don't follow him already, you definitely should. He posts some mic drop content on the regular basis. So Jamal is awesome. Good morning from Dhaka. Wow. Thank you for getting up early to join us. And there's Abby. We were just talking about Abby. Yes, thank you for being here. And who we got? Ivan, thank you. We are excited to be live. Yeah, so let's just get into it for sure. I've known you for, I don't even know how many years now. I don't want to date us. But first on a personal level and now on a professional level, we get to work together now. I know you've had your own consulting business for about 2.5 years. So why don't you just share with everybody else that doesn't know you yet a little bit more about what you do, how you got started, whatever else you want to share on that beginning journey.
Sure, you bet. So started dipping my toe in coming up with my own content and kind of thinking about training and all of that after I was at a training a long time ago when I was employed with OSU, and I was actually at a StrengthsFinder session through Gallup Strengths. And I've told this story a million times, so if you've heard it before, listen again. But I was in the session, and it was the first time ever that I had heard empathy called a superpower. And I remembered in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, if I can help somebody else feel the way that I feel right now, then I feel like I've arrived. And so that kind of started the journey of learning more about the StrengthsFinder assessment, and then eventually becoming certified nationally in the Gallup's Strength as a coach, and then started, doing the trainings and all of that. I do a lot on relationship building, a lot on presence, a lot on communication, but the tool that I use at the foundation is the Gallup StrengthsFinder for that. And went out on my own, like you said, about 2.5 years ago, and have just, it's been a roller coaster, and it's been so exciting, especially making new connections, and then having this support of wonderful people who do similar things around me as well.
Awesome. Very good. Now, I love, as a fellow trainer, I love that feeling of like that
Yes.
gut shot, and it's like, oh, if I can have one other person have that same feeling, my mission will be accomplished. Even if it's a room full of 100, even if just one person gets that same feeling, it's like, ugh, gives you all the goosebumps. The goosebumps.
For sure.
For sure. So you're a strengths coach. I know you do a lot more than just strengths training though too. So what all do you cover?
Oh gosh. Like I said, a lot in the realm of relationship building, communication. I do a lot on emotional intelligence, a lot with presence, kind of being in the moment, right? And how do we do that better? A lot lately, especially on how we show up well for ourselves and others. Listening, I did a session very heavy in how do we listen better just today. So those
Very
are
good.
some main components.
Okay. So since you did the training on listening better today, what's like one tip out of that you could share with us tonight to make us better listeners?
Oh gosh. So, I always have a great book to recommend, right?
Of course.
So The Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey.
Okay.
It's an oldie, but it's a goodie and it's wonderful. And so we actually talked about his 5 levels of listening. And I think awareness is the biggest thing because we spend so much of our lives that, we're learning how to read and how to write and how to speak better. But with, what is it, right around 7%, give or take, of communication being the spoken word, we are missing 93% of the rest. And so paying attention to the pause and to the listening, I think is a massive component. So we talked a lot about that today. We listened to some songs actually a couple of times to see how we could hear them differently.
Interesting. I love the use of music. Actually, so Lucas Velmer, who's on, hopefully he's still here, he has a really interesting live stream that he has started using music and what like how lyrics hit differently to different people depending on your experiences. I've only got to listen to one of his so far, and it was really, really interesting. So that might be something fun to kind of check out as well.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna pop Abby's comment up here. Amie's trainings are always collaborative. She practices what she preaches when it comes to listening. I love that.
Thank you.
And I can attest to your trainings as well. As a matter of fact, yours, what was it, 2 weeks ago? A week and a half ago? On the power of moments. That one was very impactful. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Sure. So another book, of course, it's actually right next to me. It's called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. I've read it 3 times now because it's so good. And there's, writing and circles and notes and all of it. But it talks about, how can we just tweak just a little bit or flip the script or change things up a little bit to either mark or to help transition or to fill pits, just to elevate moments a little bit and create that same pause. So one of the things that we did that ended up being my favorite part, because I got to learn so much from it too, is instead of doing a business card drop for a drawing for a book, we had people on note cards write their name and their email address and then their favorite book recommendations. So some people put like 10 books on there and some people had just one. And we even had a couple of people that said, I don't have any books to recommend, but I would love to know. So what we did afterwards was then we collected all of those and sent the book list out to everybody. So now there is a slightly overwhelming list of books out there, ranging from Harry Potter all the way up to self-help. I mean, it was so cool of right around 100 new books. It was so cool.
That was awesome. So I was lucky enough to be a part of that session. And so I got to get the book list as well. And I loved that there were very few duplicates.
Yes.
But there were some, even in a room of 60, 70 people, there were still some books that more than one person thought was worth recommending.
Yes.
And I want to print it out and use it kind of as my to be read list. And very happy to be like, oh, I've read that and I read that. There's probably at least 5 on the list that I can check off already. So I was like, whew, feel good about that.
Yes.
So yeah, that was a really, really great idea. And I think it will be really valuable. I know I have their book, The Power of Moments, on my, I think on my wish list on Audible. Cause I do a lot of Audible books just cause I do so much driving.
Good.
But yeah, always. What other books would you recommend?
Oh gosh. We would be here for, 3 hours. The other one that I'm reading right now, I brought them both just in case it came up, is Living in the Light by Deepak Chopra. I have a challenge. So I do the 1 word every year. And this year, my word is breathe. And so I have committed to myself to do intentional yoga every single day. So I'm on day whatever it is in the year plus 12. Okay. Yeah. It kept exact. But this has been an excellent book to refer to and just be reading throughout the process. It's been pretty powerful. So
awesome.
Highly recommend. Bob Goff, anything by him. I love his stuff. Everybody Always is my favorite of his.
Okay. He's the one that wrote The Go-Giver, right?
That I don't know. Maybe. Oh. Yes, I'll have to look it up. Or if anybody else knows.
You said Everybody Always?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. I'll have to look that up later.
Yes.
Very good. So here's an interesting, so I'm going to pop this. Team Candy Corn has arrived. This is my friend Adam. He is obsessed with candy corn. So he's a good dude. He is a like financial guru when it comes to like business and helping entrepreneurs and things. So he's a good person to know.
Great.
This is an interesting question. So IQ versus EQ. What are your thoughts?
Okay. So IQ is more of it is what it is, right? It stands. And we can get smarter and we can gain knowledge and not like that, but it is what it is. EQ is something that we can grow and develop and learn and really expand on. And it's something that I think is something that's vastly important for us as humans, for us as leaders, for us as just people in whatever relationships that we have. The more that we can know about emotional intelligence in our own selves, I think it's a transformational thing for sure. Mm-hmm. And I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. They are two very different things, and it's important, I think, as human beings, but especially as leaders or anybody who interacts with people. And I think it's important to note, like, you can be a leader without having any sort of title, like, but if you are around people, influencing people, working with people, having that EQ piece, I think is really, really important.
Agreed.
So I love that distinction.
Yeah.
So I still call it new. I've been there since the end of August.
It's new.
It's still new. It's less than a year, so I will call it new until at least August 24th of 2023.
Yes,
so in my role at Meridian, I get to work with you on a different level, more professional level. And we have our first training together scheduled for next Thursday, March 2nd. So will you share with us maybe a little teaser about what that training is going to be about and why we should attend?
Absolutely. So this one in particular, it blends in a lot of the different aspects of what I've talked about, of the things that I like to bring into trainings. It has components of emotional intelligence. The biggest thing that it has is honoring our strengths and honoring the strengths of others. And I'm not talking about like the Strengths Finder assessment. I'm talking about my natural gifts and abilities and your natural gifts and abilities. So the name of it is Yes and it's building community through collaboration, which is so exciting. And we talk about what does that look like, right? So a lot of the time we feel like we have to push and pull and kind of drag our way to the top, whatever the top looks like. But then we look around and we're alone. And so talking about the massive importance of how do you look to the left, look to the right, look up, look down, whatever that looks like behind you, in front of you, and then come together. And we'll have some really cool visuals. We'll have a bunch of different components for people to really think about it and understand it in different ways. And so, yes, it's going to be really exciting, and it'll be about 70 to 75 minutes of content. But within that will be woven time for discussion and time for connection. So it won't just be the Amie show. It'll be facilitating ideas and thoughts, and then for everybody to be able to have a chance to share and teach one another as well.
Very good. And I love that format of teaching that you do, where you do share with us, then you give us time to kind of digest and process and visit with our neighbors. Because I think a lot of value in those types of events as well is the networking and the
Yes,
collaboration and connection that you meet with those other people who are attending.
for sure.
Especially so, like, for those of you who may not be familiar, Meridian's main campus is in Stillwater. And just in the last year, we opened another campus, South Campus in Guthrie. And so we are bringing this lunchtime learning format to a whole new community. And I'm just super excited to bring this format there and expose a whole new audience of people to this quality of learning, and especially to trainers like you, so that they can get this type of content and, pour into people that they work with and learn together. Because I think there's a lot of power in learning together.
Agreed. And then it takes the load off, right? I don't have to know everything. I don't have to be good at everything. It lets, again, me be good at what I'm good at and you be good at what you're good at.
Right. Absolutely. I love Abby's comment here too. Sounds so good. Community is everything. Community really is. Like, the older I get, the more I realize how important having a good community behind you really is.
For sure.
Yeah. Yes. What other training topics do you have, like, in the works coming up?
I just actually reached out yesterday to one of our other fellow amazing colleagues and project managers to talk about the idea of the differences between unplugging and recharging and what that looks like, because that's something that I have experienced lately and didn't understand for a long time. And Abby, I think you and I have talked about this too, of, you come back and you unplug for a couple of weeks, but then you come back and you hit this wall of overwhelm when you plug back in. And so how do you make sure that you're charging at the same time, and what kinds of things, if you're doing the battery or whatever that looks like, but how do you charge up? When should you step back and ask for somebody to help or to charge along the way, and what does that look like? And so that's just an idea that I'm rattling around right now that I'm pretty fascinated with.
I like it. It seems counterintuitive to, unplug, and you think you're pulling the power source, but, as humans, and especially as women with a lot of irons in the fire, it takes a lot more than just unplugging to, fill our buckets and give us energy. So I would love to see where you go with that. That sounds absolutely fascinating.
Yes.
So yeah, Kimberly says she would love to attend the training on that. So
love to have you there, Kimberly. It's good to have you here.
Yes. Is she coming from your Facebook?
Yes.
Very
we
good.
worked together for several years.
Very good. Yeah, Abby said she had a breakthrough moment when you helped her differentiate that.
Yes. Great conversation.
Very good. I love those kind of tidbits of information that lead to those kind of bigger aha breakthrough moments.
Oh, absolutely. And then just keeps you thinking, like, what can this look like?
Yes, for sure. What does this look like? How else can I apply this? Where else might this be useful? Who else can I tell about this?
Yes.
Yeah, I love those. So I know you are an avid coffee drinker.
Yes.
It seems like almost every picture I see of you, I don't have a coffee cup near me, but that's not full of like pins and things, but every picture, you're like Amie with a coffee cup.
Yes.
So I would assume that you're a coffee connoisseur. So what is your coffee of choice?
Okay, so currently my favorite coffee of choice is an oat milk latte with lavender. But Brandy, who I saw on here earlier, texted me this morning that she put sea salt in hers. And so now I'm fascinated. I'm going to have to try it out. But oat milk, that's been a game changer for me. With my coffee.
Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of lavender being in coffee before. But I mean,
it's like a spa from your head to your toes.
from the inside out. Yes, that would be good. And probably much better for me. So I remember the year my daughter was born, Sonic had a mountain berry blast with lavender. It was lavender berry blast.
Okay.
And I ate way too many of those things that summer, and then they got rid of them. And that's the only other thing that I've had with lavender in it. So I'm definitely going to have to try this lavender coffee.
Test it out. Absolutely. Or maybe you'll hate it. I don't know. But so far, it's working for me.
I know when we met the other day, I smelled it and it smelled delicious. So I'll just have to make sure I'm going to be in close proximity to you the day that I try it. And that way, if I don't, I can just be like, here's an extra gift for you, Amie.
Fill it up.
Yes, for sure.
Mama's here. Hey, Jackie Webb. It's my Jackie mom.
Oh, there she is. Mama Jackie.
Mama Jackie.
Yes, I'm loving the conversation too. Very good. Yes, Lucas is doing a plug for Ariel Resupply Coffee. I don't know if you follow them on Facebook.
No, I'll have to.
But he is a veteran. He started his own coffee company. And so I actually have a bag of it here that is waiting to be gifted to somebody. It's a limited edition called Christmas Kitty. But it got like hints of like rum and other deliciousness in it. So,
all right. Well, when you drink the lavender, then maybe I'll try the Christmas.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to do that for sure. Oh, that's funny. So we've talked about your coffee. We've talked about your training topics. We've talked about book recommendations. What other like recommendations do you have for us tonight?
Okay, well, yoga has been deeply transformational in a very short amount of time. And I think that people, self-included, right, it can be daunting maybe or overwhelming, or I've talked to several people that don't want to start because they're nervous that they aren't going to know what's happening, or that they can't keep up, or they can't do the stretches and the moves or whatever. But there's so many different kinds. And I've looked for a community for joyful movement for myself for a long time. And this is the one that I have found that, and maybe it's to do with the amazing studio that I go to. Maybe it's to do with the practice. But every time I step onto the mat, it's one of those things that more and more and more I can, the anxiety and the big stuff, right? All the big stuff. But feeling like I've got a little bit more of a handle on the thoughts and we were talking about recharging, we're talking about unplugging and those kinds of things. And it's the place that I can find quiet. And I've been amazed at how in a very short amount of time, that's what recharges me, right? I've moved and I've done this for a certain amount of time, and I feel like I have more energy than I did when I started.
Very cool.
So highly recommend at least giving it a shot.
The more I hear you talk about yoga, and our friend Krista talks about yoga, and every time I feel like my aching bones and muscles, I'm like, I should probably really try yoga. But I live in the sticks, and I feel like it'd be one of those things where like it would be better to experience it the first time with somebody, maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe one of these days we can do yoga together, and then I'll feel confident enough to like turn a video on at home or something.
Yes, let's do it. Kristen and I did yoga in one of the training rooms I'm already in one day because our class got canceled. So yes. You can bring a beach towel if you want to.
Yeah, talk about making the best use of your time. Why not? It's like one of those things, like you don't need special equipment, right?
Yes, for sure.
An open space.
Yes.
So very good. I know one of the things you had mentioned earlier, and I always notice it when I get to attend your trainings, is the music that you play. As we are coming in and throughout the training. So what's your strategy for music, and how do you build those playlists?
Oh gosh. So music is something that it's just always been something that's very impactful for me, and it immediate nostalgia. And we talk about, when we're bringing in different senses, when we're learning something new, that it helps enhance that experience, and it helps, turn it up just a little bit or flip the script. And so starting there, but then I do a lot of thinking as far as what do I want the tone to be? Is this something that people are going to have to get pretty vulnerable when we're talking about,
Yep.
self-awareness and those kinds of things? And so a lot of times we'll get something that's go pretty upbeat and just, but also nostalgic, right? Kind of those songs that everybody knows to get those going. And for whatever reason, it's like, it just changes the whole energy of the room. Even when people are coming in and sitting down, if there's music going, well, then there's just natural conversation that starts up and you don't feel like you have to talk to the person next to you because there's no sound at all.
Yeah.
Or you can sing along or you can do whatever it is. So that's usually where I start. And then there are pieces, when we've talked about the times when there's reflective time or conversation time, depending on how that looks, then I'll change it up. One of my favorite playlists that I use for almost every class, though, we actually built as an icebreaker in a board retreat that we did.
Nice.
So it was, boards, a lot of times they're volunteers from all over the place and they really hadn't had the chance to get to know each other. So what we did was use one of the online platforms, Mentimeter, that you can type in on your phone anonymously. And they just had everybody pop up their favorite songs, and then kind of like the book list, we pop them all into this playlist, and it's like the best songs for a span of 60 years. It's so good.
I love it.
It's so
I
good.
love it. Oh,
yes.
That is such a fun. It makes me wonder, like, okay, everybody who's here watching right now, or even if you're catching a replay, drop your favorite song in the comments, and we will do a playlist based off our live. Like, I think that would be so fun. And I think music is so important. So I don't know. I kept my air drums to a minimum, but the intro music. So like that intro video, I don't even want to admit like how long it took me, but the hardest part was finding the right music because I wanted to set the tone for something that was like upbeat and fun and like just make you want to start moving, and like I was just air drumming it like every time because I love these conversations and I wanted to get jazzed up and I wanted everybody who listened to it to kind of feel that same kind of energy. So I think you're absolutely right. Like that music that you play can absolutely set the tone for the environment and the experience that you're going for. Mama Jackie, she comes through first. Don't Come Easy by Ringo Starr. That is going to be the first one on our playlist.
Yes. Talk about somebody who taught me about music. This one and my dad. Oh, for sure.
Awesome. I remember for LeaderCast Women several years ago, Marcy had built a specific playlist for that event and shared it with the attendees. And that was my like go-to playlist for a really long time until I quit using Spotify. But yeah, it can be so nostalgic and like trigger those memories and just it's in a different way.
Absolutely. You set a good theme with it. I mean, there's so much that you can do.
Absolutely. I love it. And I think especially from a diverse group.
Yes.
I love that diversity of music and genres and things. Like I have such an eclectic choice in music anyway. Be really fun to see what everybody else likes to listen to.
Absolutely.
Here's a name I recognize.
Hey, there's Sarah Bradshaw. Earth, Wind, and Fire. All right.
And we got an Elvis song.
Yes.
Or Elvis's version, at least.
Yes. Elvis everything.
Very good. Love it. I'm trying to scroll back through the comments real quick. Oh, if you want to try Ariel Resupply Coffee, Lucas popped us a discount code. So
excellent.
How about that? Thank you for sharing, Lucas.
Thank you. Yes.
So very good. Oh, and Krista says Sarah smells like condos. Very good. So I'm gonna out myself. I had never seen Hall and Oates like typed out for a while. I always heard people say it, and I thought it was Holland oats.
Fair enough. It's not that different.
Holland oats.
Or
Okay.
hauling. Maybe hauling oats.
Hauling oats. Yeah, like I could see that. It's all right. It's okay. Some of those things, like, you just don't know until you see it in print.
Absolutely.
This is, yeah, so funny. So what else? What else you want to share?
Oh gosh. Just exciting things going on. You know, I'm really looking forward to this next. I'm reading a lot right now about how, you know, I talked about emotional intelligence really being kind of one of these big things, but I'm seeing a lot about empathy coming up too.
Okay.
And as somebody who like high empath, and for a long time, you know I mentioned it at the beginning, for somebody who kind of just thought I needed to shove that in a box for a long time, it's exciting for me to see that you know, this is something that others are recognizing as something that's so important, to be able to take perspective from where I'm at and your perspective, and then put it together and what that looks like. And so also reading and thinking about a lot on those kinds of things, and just looking forward to, you know, when you're talking about Guthrie and this new community and the new campus and what that's going to look like and how it's going to feel different. You know, and what that'll look like. And then also just, I think we're kind of in this transition, and maybe not necessarily the end of it, but for such a long time, you know, everything was in person and then everything was virtual. And now we're figuring out, I think, the best of both worlds and how we can do that really well. And so even something like this, where, you know, you can connect with people all around the globe, and you know, it's just, it's such an exciting thing. And then we can go to coffee afterwards. You know, it's just, it's one of those things that I love to see how it's transitioning. So that was kind of a windy answer, but those are things that I get excited about right now.
No, I'm right there with you, and I'm so glad that you wanted to come on live with me, because like you said, it's a different way to connect with people.
Yes.
A lot of people, I mean, when a lot of people think about LinkedIn, they don't necessarily think of the LinkedIn that I know and love, because it's become such a community, and it is a place where you can connect and build relationships. And through live streaming is another great way to do that. I mean, because here we are interacting with people from your platforms and from my platforms, and we're all getting to see and interact with each other. So it makes me happy that I get to introduce you to all of my people, because everybody needs to know Amie Haar. And that's just one of the great things about, you know, leveraging the technology of this platform. And I'm looking forward to being able to use live streaming in other ways too, personally and through my role at Meridian. So I think it'd be a really great way to, you know, bring information and content to a different audience.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And just having your expertise and, you know, your vision and your ideas and your experiences coming in to look at everything in a different way. It's exciting for everybody too.
I agree. I was going to pop up. You have another Amie Haar fan in the house.
Hey, Gina. It's good to see you.
I love it.
See you. So, see your name.
See you. Sarah posted a comment. What do we think about women experience in leadership in the workplace?
Oh my gosh. Do we have another hour?
Well, give it your best shot in 5.
I'm so kidding. I lost one of my earbuds here. It's so different, you know. The experience is so different. The juggling is different. And I think, you know, when we're talking about community, right, that is such a massive piece of that. I was sharing with Julie right before this that I had the password debacle of 2023 today. And rather than just sitting there in it, which I had 5 people in that moment that I could reach out, women, and say, what do I do? What do you think? Send me a prayer, send me some love. Like, what do how do we do this? And I think if we can continue that, and not just women, but everybody, but to remember, again, we're not going at this alone. I think there's just such incredible power in that. What about you, though? What do you think, or what have you experienced? What do you see?
I think, I mean, very similar to what you're saying. I think it comes down to those connections and building those relationships, because you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And you never know who they're going to know, who may in turn one day need something from you, or you need something from them. I mean, I know growing up, I always heard it's not what you know, it's who you know. and it really is true. And not just thinking about, oh, you just need to want to get something from somebody or need something from somebody. It's not that. It's even just having those connections to be able to share. Like if somebody over here needs something, I'd be like, oh, I know Amy or I know Sarah, and they can offer that service to this person, and being able to make those connections. So like that's kind of where my mind goes, is being able to encourage people to lift each other up and build those connections, because and I can't wait for your session on the 2nd about not necessarily being competitive, but more collaborative. So I really think that's the future of where we need to go, where we need to be.
Agreed.
I want to pop Brandy's comment up here. Felt like harmony was a weakness, but you helped her see the strength that it is. So do you want to talk maybe for a minute about the strength of harmony?
Absolutely. So talk about somebody who epitomizes this as a strength. Okay. So one of my dearest friends in the entire universe, we go way, way, way back. But yes, that disappointment. And I think that happens. I see it happen all the time when people first get their results back and they're like, this is boring. I want this, right? We're kind of hardwired to do that, which was the whole premise of strengths in the first place, was kind of, when people look around. So then they started focusing on, what am I naturally really good at? And so for harmony, I think a lot of times people misunderstand or misuse, because they're out of whack with it, that it's people who can't stand confrontation, or they back down, or they can't handle the stuff. And it's not true. They care more about the fairness, right? So it's I'm willing to walk through this because I know that fairness is on the other side. And so I tell you what, they're the ones that you want in battle with you when it comes to that, because they're going to be able to see all the way around it and go, okay, what is the best outcome for everybody? And that's what is so inspiring for that particular strength.
That is awesome. I love that definition of strengths, and also the applicable part of it, having that somebody who can walk through that fire and get to that other side. That is amazing. I like Lorinda's comment too. We tend to weigh decisions not only on what's logical, but what feels right and how those decisions affect others. Yeah.
Natural bridge builders and natural connectors, I think, is one of our superpowers, right?
Yes, we are. We do have superpowers. Yeah, we're not alone. Leaning into others. I've learned so much from the kind of mastermind group that we're both a part of, and being able to lean into those super intelligent, powerful, dynamic women, and just be like, I can learn so much, even just by osmosis, just being in the same room. It's so awesome.
It is.
Yes,
so much the game.
Amie is a great connection. Love it. Oh, I like Abby's question. What is your favorite strength to talk about?
Oh, well, there's 34, so let me just talk about, no, I'm kidding. But really, I think, well, I have to go through all of them. I don't know that I have a favorite. I will say the most difficult one for me to understand, and the one I appreciate the most now, So if I can kind of flip your question a little bit, is command. So I, like most things, misunderstood that one greatly before I started learning about all of this and really diving into this and coaching people who have this particular strength. Because even the word, the command, you know, I think a lot of people feel like it's just this, they're coming into the room and they're demanding that people listen to them. And that's hard for me, right? And so I had this incredible, she was actually one of my mentors when I went to Chicago to be trained and certified in all this. And her name is Roseanne. And here's another book that's coming up. It happens. So I won't go deep into her story, but she wrote The Collision of Grief and Gratitude, and it is phenomenal. Okay. So it's one put on your list, but she has command, and she's all of about 5 foot, maybe 2. And she talks about, she flipped that image for me because I had not had a good experience with individuals, I think maybe, or with that particular strength that might've been a little bit out of whack. But this woman, what she did was she commanded respect. And so when she walked into a room, you knew that she was there, and she did not have to say a word, but the entire room settled down. And so between her and then a professor actually that I met and worked with from a distance, I got to admire and respect him when I was at the business school. He was another one. And without a word, he could walk into a room and the whole room just quieted because he was there, and there was no, come to order or stand to action or anything. And so I think that it's more about that, the presence, and that, excuse me, it doesn't have to be the aggressive, I think that we misunderstand. So that was one that really switched the script for me.
Very interesting. And of course, Lorinda, maximizer is the best strength.
Maximizer is the best strength. Okay. It just is. I mean, I don't have it in my top 5, but clearly it's the best.
Yeah, no, maximizer is not in my top 5 either. Not at all.
Neither is consistency.
Yeah, what are your top 5?
So positivity, surprise, empathy, strategic, arranger, and communication are my top 5.
Very good. No surprises there.
No, none.
No, I love it. I love it. Anybody else? So if you haven't dropped your favorite song in the comments, please do, because I want to make this playlist thing happen.
Yes.
I think that would be so fun. So team Gina. Yeah. She's team empathy. So
yes.
Love it. So what is next? Your next big thing?
Oh my gosh.
The next big thing that isn't for a private company. How about that? I'm teeing you up. What is the next big thing?
Okay, let's see. I might have to get back to you on that. I don't know. I get, it's one of those things that the last few years have taught me an incredible amount on trust. And not that I'm just out here floating, but I really, truly believe in, stepping back and paying attention, and that things and people and situations are put into our lives for a reason, right? Whether it's, you see the quotes of, it's either a lesson or it's a, whatever it is. But the things that are going on right now, if you would have asked me a year ago, I never, ever, ever, ever would have had any idea that that's what was to come. And so while I'm always thinking of something, or I'm reading a book and I'm texting somebody, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if we, or what if they, what would this look like if? And I love having those conversations. I do really want to figure out a way, and this has been kind of just bubbling in the back of my mind for whenever the right time comes in. I read something, this has been probably 4 or 5 years ago, that when we're talking about women in the workplace and that for a little bit community, at the age of 9, a lot of times that's the pivotal time between 9 and 11, especially for young ladies, young women, for where things start to shift for them. And I would love to figure out a way to set some sort of connection or mentorship. I think of my daughter who just turned 12, and the mentors that she has in her life, and building that community for her. Because there again, it's not on all on my shoulders, but if there's a way that we could do some sort of leader cast women or speakers or a panel or something to pour into these young gals with big ideas at a little bit younger age, that's something that gets me really excited.
Very cool. I actually have a LinkedIn friend who I think did something very similar, so I will have to connect you two.
Please do. I'd love to hear about it.
That would be very cool. Well, Amie, I am just so glad that you decided to come on with me tonight. This has been so much fun. Thank you to everybody who was here commenting. That's really what helps make these lives so much fun, is when we get to have a conversation with the audience and really make it interactive. So that is super fun. I don't know when the next time I will be live. I am in a season in my life when regularly scheduled evening lives it's not a good time for that. If you know personally, you know why. But I do plan on being semi-regular-ish for lives, especially if I have amazing people like Amie who want to come on live with me. So if you are a fan of lives, please follow me, connect with me so you can be notified whenever I do decide to go live again. Amie, thank you again so much for being here. I think this was a great conversation. And again, just thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for being here. I think we have hit our goal time, and it's okay to wrap it up.
Yeah. So, thank you so much. It was great to be here and to see all these names and the comments coming in. So thank you as well, Julie.
Super fun. Well, thank you, everyone. Sit tight, Amie. I'm going to play the outro, and we will see you all next time. Have a good night.
Bye.